Hi, I'm Dr. Courtney Buggs, and I had the pleasure of sitting down with Reverend Dr. Leslie D. Callahan, pastor of St. Paul's Baptist Church in the heart of Philadelphia, for the African American Legacy Preaching Series. Check out this clip if you'd like to see part of our conversation. If you'd like to see the whole conversation, click the link below. Thank you. So can you talk a little bit about your time in the academy and then this transition to full-time pastorate?
Sure. I think this starts early on as well. I was always academically affirmed too. It was the academy was a place of school was a place that I felt a lot of affirmation. I always did well, and I liked learning. I love learning. I'm interested in knowing things, especially the things I'm interested in. Right. So I always had a lot of affirmation. When I went to seminary, and to some extent probably in my personal statement for my PhD work too, I talked about thinking and encouraging other people to think as a call. Mm-hmm. I understand in some measure my vocation in the church to be about thinking too. As an undergraduate, I was a religion major because that was the thing I was most interested in. I had the kind of crises intellectually and spiritually that often come when you realize that the world you thought, that what you were taught, no longer explains things. You know, some people approach being religion majors as I'm going to get through these hoops and then I'm going to go back to thinking the way I thought before I started. For a lot of reasons, not least of which that I have really, again, out of this place of decency, like I've really tried to be a person of integrity, and I've tried to be a consistent person throughout, internally. And so at the point where I was persuaded that this makes more sense than what I had originally been taught, I couldn't just go back. So that created all kinds of crises. That's not unheard of, right? That's, I think, fairly typical for people. So I'm in the midst of these crises of faith, and I have this thought as an undergraduate religious studies major, it would really be good if I knew that some of these professors were faithful people, that they had found a way through it. Around that same time, I had my first Black woman professor. I took a course on Black women's spiritual writings at Harvard Divinity School. And there was a visiting professor there, Frances Smith Foster. And all of a sudden I thought, oh, I could get a PhD. Like, it's that combination of thinking, it would be nice if some of these folks in this religious studies department seemed like faithful people. I now know that some of them were, I just couldn't see it. Yeah. But I saw it as a thing, right? And at that same time, I encounter a Black woman who has a PhD, whose presence and also encouragement says, you know, you could be a Black woman with a PhD. So the combination of trying to work out these theological issues that had arisen in my studies and thinking, I think maybe I want to go get a PhD, sent me to Union Seminary. My project at Union Seminary was to work out what I thought so that I could be a person who could help both congregations and also in the academy to bring these things together, religion and religious studies. So I went to Union. I think it was pretty clear to me, even during my time at Union, that I was a pastor. But it's also pretty clear to me that there was no way in a search call process I was going to get a church at 25. And the door to get a PhD opened. And so I started my doctoral studies. I wanted to think about Pentecostalism, which was my tradition. I wanted to take it seriously as a thought world, as a place for intellectual inquiry. So this is 1996. This goes without saying in a way now that it didn't go without saying in 1996.
Sure.
So I wanted to do that work. I wanted to give something to the community that had shaped and formed me. And I wanted to think about, I think in retrospect, probably, I wasn't probably as aware of that then as I am now, but I also really wanted to think, I wanted to make some sense of my own experience too. So I started the doctoral program at Princeton and immediately started working on the staff of a church.